Everyone, this is our last video together. It's so sad. No, actually, it's good because we've done a lot of work this semester and we've learned a lot of things, and this is our last chance to show what we know. So I'm going to walk through the study guide for exam 4, and it's normal. I do things the same way all the time. That's part of the OCD thing. But anyway, on your study guide, remember that the only thing you get, well, not the only thing you get your full credit, 20 points for homework from doing the practice at the end. Anything you do to prepare at the beginning here is extra credit. Okay, so keep that in mind. So we have our normal 20 definitions for matching. I give you the 20 terms here, and then I'm going to use the stuff from the back of the book for the definitions from the glossary. For the short answer, the big words, there are 18 of them. They are worth 5 points apiece. If they are not exactly like they are from the book, you don't get any credit. So don't ask Google, ask Dr. Vaughn. Okay. Remember too that science and morality are not in the glossary still for some reason, but they are in the chapter, and I do tell you in the PowerPoints and in the chapter videos that where they are, what page number, that kind of thing. Please don't make stuff up. Okay. This time I've given you kind of some things that, okay, so we're going to use a poll. We're going to use an argument by analogy. And I'm giving you the exercises that we've worked through those things in. So you can say, okay, when I'm talking about a poll, I'm going to look in chapter 10, exercise 10.3. If I'm looking at argument by analogy, again, it's chapter 10. You have enumerative, which is opinion polls. You have causal, and you have analogy in chapter 10. So we're going to do some things from those. And then we're going to do the criteria of adequacy from chapter 11 and chapter 12. And then our essay is really going to be based on what we did in chapter 13. And you're going to read the story, The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. And you might have already heard of this story if you had ethics here, but I'm going to use it anyway. It's one of the best short stories that get at what I want to get at with this particular question, which is, what is this? And so you have some questions here. Basically, you need an intro. Some definitions work great. You need a brief summary of the story, a paragraph or so. And then make a case, which means argue for the moral principles and worldview depicted in the story. Use vocabulary and references from chapter 13 for this, especially that can't we all get along thing with all the moral principles on page 483. You need a paragraph of explanation about their worldview, and then you need to do two things with the idea of the child, and this will make more sense once you've read the story. A paragraph of explanation for us and for them. So for us, okay, what might the child represent if we kind of took that story and laid it over top of our own current world, okay, and then wrap it up nicely in a conclusion. Normal stuff. About 5 paragraphs. It could be 6 or 7, just depending upon how you separate things out and how much you write. That's study guide A practice. B practice is our kind of our normal look at the chapter 13 integrated exercises, and I made where's my pen? I made a typo on that. I'll fix it before it gets to you. It's chapter 13 integrated exercises, page 507 508. The first 3 are arguments, tell me about them kind of thing, and then 16, 18, and 20 are very much like some of the things you're going to get on the test itself, so it'll be helpful, I promise. The test itself is our normal stuff, so definitions matching, 2 points each. Definition short answer, write out the definition for each of the big words, be exact. They come from the book. The glossary is the easiest way to go, but you should have these in your notes and stuff anyway. You'll notice that a couple of them have more space than others. Background information, you get full credit if you give me that first sentence. You get 2 extra points if you give me the whole thing. So I gave you space for that. I'm looking at the handwritten ones. I'll get to that mess in a minute. Same thing for scientific method, although it's not extra credit. It has 5 steps, so I gave you a little bit more space. The rest of this, oh, and remember that science and morality are not not in the glossary, but they are in the book itself, and of course, and in my PowerPoint and lecture. Okay, so the last things here, please, 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 if I give you A, B, C, D, make sure you parse those out, A, B, C, D, and you give me the answer that I'm asking for. Okay, be careful that you're not getting past that, getting around that. Okay, so make sure you're answering the question that's being asked. So we have problem with the pollster's conclusion question. We have argument by analogy. We have a causal argument. And then we have two of the, so here's a phenomenon. Here's a possibility. How does that work? Make sure when I ask you to use the criteria of adequacy that you actually use the chart, draw it up, write it up, whatever you got to do. Okay, and explain things. That's the last two. And then the very last page, of course, is your essay, page 483 for the moral principles. You can, normal stuff, type it up and attach it, or type it up and just include it. If you're doing things by hand, make sure that you choose that copy of the exam. And please, 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 okay, this one, you don't have anything weird like Venn diagrams or truth tables or anything like that. This is just over those last 4 chapters, 10, 11, 12, 13. And except for the big words, of course, they go all the way back. But make sure if you're going to type that you use the regular one, so you're not messing with lines and messing up the numbers and all that. If you're going to handwrite, then obviously print that out, handwrite it, scan it back in, kind of thing. This is our last one. We'll see how things go, and make sure if you have questions about the study guide that you ask those before you do the test. Okay, I don't do rewrites on tests ever. I can give you some extra stuff on study guides, but this is towards the end. This is the end, the last thing you're going to have to do for me. So do your best work, finish strong, and make sure that you have all your work in by the stated deadline on Blackboard. Okay, that's about it. I hope that's helpful. If you have questions, again, you know how to get a hold of me. You have my email.